In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You are advised that any view expressed by the host or their guest are not necessarily the views of the owners or management of TogiNet Radio, Togi Entertainment, or the Owners Group, Inc.
Motherhood Incorporated proudly presents Military Mom Talk Radio, live on TogiNet.com. Co-hosted by Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back, the owner of Motherhood Incorporated. Military Mom Talk Radio is here with a powerful platform for women to discuss their ideas, issues, and concerns with respect to the military lifestyle. Military Mom Talk Radio encourages you to share your experiences of being a military wife and mother. This show is dedicated to educating your family about the resources that are available in both the public and private sector. And we'll be sharing helpful information from women around the world. We'll cover everything military, from helping a family member cope with post-traumatic stress disorder, to navigating government programs dealing with family issues, to the struggles of deployment, along with being a working mother, both in and out of the home. This is Military Mom Talk Radio. And here are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back.
Hey, Military Moms. This is Sandra Beck. I'm here with Tina Gonzalez. Hey, Tina.
Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Good, good. You were just telling us something. Who just woke up?
Oh, no, my 3-year-old, he's up and ready for action already.
You know, just right in time for airtime.
Of course.
Yeah, well, we have a great show today. We have, just one of the most awesome guests you could have. Her name is Linda Kagan, and she has some cool products, and she's an attorney. She's a single mom. She's got 2 kids. She's got it going on. And we're going to talk about travel today. And, Tina, you have a great travel story for us about traveling with kids. You want to share it?
Sure. I was flying out of the San Diego airport, and at the time, I think my oldest was like 8, and my other...
Oh, I bet. Did I lose it?
No, I'm here. That was my little 3-year-old. Anyway, we were flying. There was 3 of us, and I was the only parent. And my daughter was always running around, touching everything, and it was, always chaotic in the airport by herself. And she ended up getting hand, foot, and mouth from the airport. So when we got to our destination, which was Spokane, Washington, to go visit my mother, we ended up needing to go to the emergency room, and of course she had asthma, so they wanted to know all her full asthmatic history. When was her last albuterol treatment? And she was more of a cold-induced asthma child, so I didn't have that kind of stuff on hand. I didn't know. I bring shot records. That's it. Hopefully that's all you need when you're traveling. I didn't expect for the worst. So it was a great ordeal of trying to get medical authorizations from them to down here to San Diego so that they could release medical information. So it was a big havoc, something that I didn't expect.
Big mess.
Yeah, it was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, and and you've got kids and they're sick, and you're not with your home doctor, and you don't have the information, and people don't want to, it's not that they don't want to be helpful, but there's so many laws protecting everything and everybody's right to privacy that it's really difficult. I know when I was traveling with my 2-year-old to Hawaii to go to a wedding, and I was heading out to the base there, and, it's like I learned, not to wear a white pantsuit when traveling with children. But my son crawled under the seat into first class, and he got under there, and he was fiddling with the life jacket, and the flight attendant's trying to get him out. I'm trying to get him out. He starts screaming his head off. And at that point in my son's life, he had a bleeding disorder. And, like you, I don't carry all this stuff with me. And, he bled all over the seat, bled all over me. We finally got down off the airplane. And, I'm getting ready to take him over to the urgent care. And, I don't have anything with me but the insurance card. And and the insurance systems didn't match up. And, it was such a huge pain, and I was so, I was on my own, with this sick baby and, covered with blood. I looked like I'd been shot on the plane. And, it was really difficult. And I think any mom, traveling with kids really of any age, it's hard.
And you don't think to have to bring everyone's medical record with you because you're hoping that it's going to be a nice little trip. No traumatic things are going to happen along the way, and that's when you get hit with them.
It's true. It's true. And I think, today it's like, I can look at, even in the past 7 years, my son is 7, and I travel with him. It's even gotten, I think, more difficult to get health care taken care of. I know with my mom. My mom is stage 4 breast cancer, and she's mostly treated in New York. She's at Roswell Cancer Institute in New York, and all her medical records are there. And then, part of the year they live out here with me, part of the year they live back, with my brothers and sisters. And it's really hard because, she got admitted last year, and there was an issue of who was going to pay, because some of the health care is state-funded, and it was such a nightmare. And for like a year, we're getting all these bills. They're going to 2 different locations. And, to try to have that centralized information resource is really tough.
Yeah, it's horrible. Because the more information you have, especially when you're out of town, you go to a doctor, the better. Because then when you're in the hospital, everyone is getting billed differently. You get a bill from the actual doctor, you get a bill from the hospital, you get a bill from if you need anesthesia. I mean, it's ridiculous. Always.
Well, and then just, trying to fill out the forms and, I don't know about you. I mean, like, I know friends of mine, when they get deployed overseas or they get, or their families moved overseas, then there's all the issues with, like, birth certificates and even just, like, eyeglass prescriptions, can be such a pain when you're overseas. I know I've spent, quite a bit of time overseas. I've spent, a lot of time in the European community, and, I'll tell you, if you want to get sick, I got sick in London and I got sick in Montreal. They're the 2 best cities. Like, if you're going to go somewhere, go there to be sick because first of all, they cover everything. They have a socialized medicine plan for people traveling.
That's nice.
So I was like, I was so nervous. Like, I went into London and I was so sick, and I was like, oh, do I call, do I not call? Because I didn't have any money, thinking I'm going to get this huge bill, and I'm not going to be able to fly home because I won't have any money to get home. And I was traveling, and they took care of everything, and I got a really high fever and infection when I was in Montreal, and it was so amazing because they told me at the hotel, they're like, oh yeah, there's a clinic right around the corner, just go down there. And I'm thinking clinic like we have clinics here, going, oh my gosh, I walk in there, it's all clean, it's shiny, they're like, oh, can we help you? And when I checked in, I'm expecting they're going to ask for my Social Security number, they're going to ask for my credit card, all this stuff, and they're like, oh no, just come this way. And I'm thinking, okay, I must be really sick because this is not, what I'm used to. And, they gave me the prescription, they took my chest x-ray, I had I think a pneumonia when I was there. And, and I walked out of there, but, had I had any other health issues at the time, I wouldn't even have known where to begin because you don't expect to get sick like that when you're traveling, and you certainly don't have, even if you have kids with special needs or health issues, there's only so much you can remember to bring and so much to travel.
Oh, of course. And I've learned over the years with each additional child that I have that it is inevitable. When you travel somewhere, even if it is a short over-the-weekend trip, someone is going to get sick. Something's going to come up. Whether it's pink eye or bronchitis, something will come up.
Right,
those are the experiences I've had. And now I travel with a huge binder full of every single thing that I could possibly think of that somebody else might ask me if I were to have to go to the hospital, which, again, is another hassle because that has to be packed too. So it's like with that and then your meds and, even forgetting meds. I don't know how many times I've went and forgot one of my child's asthma medications. My children are on Pulmicort daily, and I forgot that and in a nebulizer. And then to try to get those when you're away, because then they're like, oh, well, are you sure? What doctor are you with? We need to check with them, and then we need to go to medical supply. That kind of stuff you really do not have on hand to keep, especially if you already knew you were going to bring it with you, and it was just one of those, oh, no, I forgot it on the counter.
Right, one of those oh, no moments.
Yes.
Well, and the other thing I've noticed, too, is, and this happens a lot, because the military's, our service is so far spread, is the time zone. It's like even from here to New York, I'll take my mom to Rite Aid because Rite Aid's like, oh yeah, everything's all connected. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
So you walk into the Rite Aid in California, and I love Rite Aid. I'm not going to bag on Rite Aid today, but it's really difficult when I run down there to pick up my mom's prescription for whatever she needs that week, and we go there and we stand in line, and yes, it's true, everything is in their system. They're like, oh, well, we have to call for your doctor's approval.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, and it could be 3 o'clock here, which means it's 6 o'clock on the East Coast, which means no doctor's going to approve it, until sometime the next morning. And, it's like if we had just had like a copy of the prescription but you don't have these things, it's like you said with your big binder, I mean, how many things can you travel with?
Exactly. Or remember to think to bring.
Right, or remember to think to bring. And, and that's why, I think I'm so excited to bring, Linda Kagan on today with her TravelStix. And, she's an attorney, and she's got, just all this great information to share with us throughout the show, because as moms, and especially, I don't know about you, Tina, but don't you think, like, things multiply? Like, I thought, oh, I have one kid. Okay, I can do another. It's not so bad. It's like a force multiplier. It doesn't get doubly harder. Then you add 3 and number 4 in the mix, because when I take care of my sister's kids or my friends' kids, it is a force multiplier. It's not. It's exponentially more difficult when you have all these little bodies that all need different things. It's really difficult. And you do it with 4.
Yes. And then also with my own daycare children. I have all kinds of medical information on hand always for them, too, that I have to take with me anytime we go on a field trip to the park, because you never know what can happen wherever you're at.
It's almost like you need to send your medical information with your kids wherever they go, especially if they're taking some serious meds. I mean, it's one thing if they're taking baby Tylenol. It's another thing if they need, a prescription drug taken on a daily or a timed basis.
Yep, that's my kids.
That's your kids.
We have like 4 daily, every day, morning and night.
Brutal. Well, we are here today with Linda Kagan, and when we get back from break, we're going to talk about traveling with kids. We're going to talk about some different products that are out there that can make it so much easier for moms, and we're going to have a lot of information, so you'll want to check back in with us. We're about ready to go to break, and Tina, who's in the background?
Oh, that's my little 3-year-old.
And what's the name?
Christian.
Oh, it's Christian. Okay, well, Christian is now famous because we can hear him in the background, and it's a good thing we're here on Military Mom Talk Radio, and we're all moms.
Are you a military mom? Looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Girlfriend It is on TogiNet. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, with your hosts Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. This show is your chance to share, learn, laugh, and connect with other women. The Girlfriend It principle was born out of loss.
Lisa had recently had her mother pass away from cancer, and my mom was murdered. A man just walking into a room and started a 23-second shooting spree.
I think one of the things we both realized going through those tragedies that you can be extremely okay and be extremely sad.
Check out girlfriendit.com. And then be a part of Girlfriend It, the radio show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, they don't totally understand that emotional side to them like another woman does. And I think that's so important just to have somebody that you go, she gets me.
Check out the website, girlfriendit.com. Don't miss Girlfriend It with Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. What's your story? Are you living it? Well, you could be. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Her passion is helping others discover, create, and live their personal brands. Yep, you heard me. You have a brand. No different than Coke, Pepsi, or Nike. You are a walking, talking, living, breathing brand. You're not a logo. You're not a tagline. The choices you make become the path you take. This is your brand. Now, live your story. Your brand is not just what you say it is. It's also what others say it is. So what are you communicating? And how can you create an authentic brand? We'll take on these challenges with What's Your Story? Every week, Hillary will feature teens, moms, and organizations that are learning and living their story. Now, her passion is to help others discover, create, and live their personal brands. To find out more, go to inspiredbyfamily.com. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back.
Hey, Military Moms. I'm here with Tina. Tina, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, we are talking about travel today, travel with kids. We have an outstanding guest here with us today. Linda. Linda, you with us?
Yes, I am.
There's Linda. Hey, Linda. So you are an amazing woman. You have experience as a litigator and a transactional lawyer. I have to tell you that every time I think of your experience at that law firm, LeBoeuf, I don't even know how to pronounce it, and I can speak French. Lamb, Green, and McRae. I think you have to get a new partner on there that's like hamburger, because it's just so funny. It's like you've got beef, lamb, green. You know, your greens, you just need a little more food in there.
Right, exactly. Well, it's actually merged with another firm, so its name no longer even resembles a meal of any sort.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, because we'd have to talk to them about that from a marketing standpoint. Unless
right.
They're doing like food-related law. It's pretty funny. But and now tell me a little bit about your educational background, because you have some pretty impressive pedigree here.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, my undergraduate degree is from the University of California, Berkeley, so I'm happy to start my life on the West Coast, but much more of it on the East Coast in New York and the surrounding area. So I came back to New York in 1987, and I went to law school here. And ever since then, which is, I can't believe it, 17 years plus, I've been a practicing lawyer, and in the last 12 years, I've been a practicing mother.
Wow. So which one is harder, the mother or the lawyer?
Oh, mother's much harder. I think that's true for everybody. When you get to go to like a quote-unquote job, it's like being on vacation.
I find that too sometimes. It's like, when Monday morning rolls around, I'm not the saddest mother in the world when my kids go to school in the morning.
Right.
So, Linda, I'm going to ask you to call in on another line, because we're getting a little bit of crackles here, and Tina and I are going to take the floor until you can come back on live.
Sounds good. I'll call you right back.
That would be helpful. So, Tina, you got these little TravelStix that Linda, her company, produces. You got a couple of those this week, didn't you?
I did.
They're pretty neat.
They look like the coolest things ever. Actually, my son loves it. He wants to carry around the sports one because it has a baseball on it. We're totally into baseball. But, I think they're so cool. They're so thin. They can, slide right into my wallet. I like them. I want to know how to use them.
I have one, I have one with a scuba diver on it, and I think it's just really fun to have, kind of the different brands represent, the different either sides of yourself, or, I have a grandparent one, and they're really neat little devices. I would encourage anybody listening today to go to Google them. They're TravelStix, TravelStix. Make sure you use the X and not the CKS. Or you can go to formsfortravel.com and take a look at them, because they're really neat little things, and they we'll have Linda talk more about it, but they can carry so much information, which is makes it not have to carry that big binder of things around everywhere you go.
Yeah, I think this will be a lot of help. I went on the website myself, and they even have them for your pets. Most people don't even think about that kind of stuff with your pets, but me, I have had issues with taking my pets back home and eating some random thing that they were walking around, that we were taking him for a walk, and he ate something that was poisonous. We had to take him to the vet, and there goes the vet-to-vet calls, seeing what any kind of history the dog has had. Again, could have been eliminated if I would have brought the dog's medical records. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Well, it's funny, I have 4 rescues, and one of my dogs came from a noted celebrity, and this dog had its own shrink. He had his own antidepressants. I mean, this dog had better medical care than I did.
I love it.
It came with this whole stack of papers. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this dog's being treated for doggy depression. I'm like, I want some of whatever he's taken.
And who would have thought dogs can have depression, too, and anxiety?
I guess. So, Linda, are you back?
I am back.
Oh, much better. I can hear you now. It was crackly before.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So why don't you tell us, you told us a little bit about your background and experience. Can you tell me how you came up with the idea of your TravelStix, and can you also tell us a little bit more about the product itself?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I came up with it after spending 2 years utilizing an e-commerce site to provide parents and grandparents with the ability to create the forms that they would need for traveling with their children, grandchildren, relatives, children, family friends, children, et cetera, on different types of trips and things, and also for babysitters when they were, they'd leave their kids behind because they were traveling on business or maybe getting away for a vacation once in a while. And so we utilized a site that enabled people to plug in information and create a PDF form that would be downloaded to their computer. And then, obviously, there's sort of a constant process in which you're trying to improve your product and make it more accessible and easier for people to use. So we came out with hard copy versions on a secure paper that doesn't allow for copying and a manipulation of, for instance, where your child is traveling or who they're traveling with and things like that. But the idea of the TravelStix, which is a 2-gigabyte flash drive that is in the shape of a credit card, and the USB piece out of it when you need it, and it can be used in any computer anywhere in the world. It does not need the internet. There's no software on it, so it's not going to mess up your computer or anyone else's. And what we've done is taken the different forms. We have a catalog of over 75 forms, medical consents, travel, whether it's for children, animals. We have a number of forms for adults. We have a huge line of sports-related TravelStix for adult athletes, scuba divers, swimmers, runners, and every other thing that we can, spend a little time on the weekend doing. But again, the focus is always, children, making sure they're safe. I wanted basically to create a digital device that creates a safety net for parents and for adults, whether they're making sure they're taking care of themselves or taking care of a relative, as you mentioned earlier about your mom, making sure that you know what meds she's on, what sort of history she's had with her illness and health, to make sure that, you have the information at your fingertips. So when you and Tina were talking about, traveling with children, I have 2 kids myself. This TravelStix enables you to, one, utilize a set of documents that come embedded on them. And depending on the type of TravelStix you purchase, whether, it's the version of traveling with relative or family friend, or if it's the, the runner's version for a grown-up, or the teen version for, swimming, or the dog version that we have for pets, or, the cat version as well, you're going to get 3 forms embedded on them, and you can use them as often as you need to. It's a single-user license where you can use them over and over again in different situations that you might need. And then you can plug back into the TravelStix 2 gigabytes worth of stuff, videos, music, pictures, other documents, copies of your passport, driver's license, prescriptions, whether for medicine or glasses. I am fantastic. My kids are actually trained to find my glasses because I can never find them. So, which means,
I just make my kids read the clock in the morning. They they always crawl in bed with me about 6 a.m. And I know I don't have to get up till 7 sometimes. And I'm like, okay, Zachy, what time is it? Look at the clock. And, then I just have to transpose it, whether it's forward or backwards, because he's 3.
Exactly. Right. Well, as they get older, they become more usable, in different roles. So, there'll come a time where, they know what to find and they know all the places you tend to leave things, even though you've forgotten at this point. But the TravelStix is, really kind of a natural outgrowth of the original idea, which was creating that safety net and also just making my life a little easier, if at all possible, and giving me a little peace of mind if the kids were staying with someone else. This way, instead of having that binder of documents, which, by the way, if you lose it, you'll just pull your hair out because it's not as if you keep multiple copies. I'm a lawyer, so we keep multiple copies of everything. But most people don't do that, nor should they have to. And what I did was I wanted to come up with a product that would eliminate the need to drag that around. The TravelStix, as I said, is shaped like a credit card, so it fits in your purse or your wallet just like anything else. And you're going to keep it safe because that's the thing. You keep safe because you know that you need that one item no matter what else happens. And this way, if you need a copy of something or you need to show a doctor your kid's, medical history or use of inhalers or, last checkup or your immunization chart, which is very important, you'll have that in hand. And what comes on the TravelStix as well is a pamphlet with hyperlinks to the U.S. State Department the different sites that they provide for, finding embassies, finding health care. Also, we have links to the CDC travel alerts. So if you're traveling or intend to travel somewhere, you can, right from the TravelStix, you can click on the hyperlink, get to the site that tells you what you need if you're traveling to, Zimbabwe or anywhere else for that matter, in terms of vaccinations, how much time it's going to take, you can really plan things. So the idea is also if you're overseas and you've lost your passport, fortunately people don't keep their passports in their wallets, so you probably still have your wallet, and the TravelStix will have on there a link to the State Department's passport emergency sites and phone numbers in Washington, phone numbers. You can find the embassy in the country that you're staying in. And this way you can get what you need, and you can show them, well, here's a copy of my passport that I lost. So it shows them that it's legitimate. They can see the number. It just speeds things up.
Well, it does, especially, when you're overseas. I've lost stuff in, many different countries, keys, phones, credit cards. I'm really good at losing things. I'd probably lose the card if I had it, but there's not much you can do about that. But it is. It's like having all those numbers when you travel overseas is so important. We are here today with Linda Kagan, and she's talking to us about traveling with children and some different opportunities that we have as moms to bring documentation, especially for the medical needs of our children and our parents or our spouses, with us wherever we go without having to drag a big binder around. We are here, and we are going to be back in a few minutes with Linda Kagan.
Are you a military mom? Looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Join Learning and Laughter with Louise every Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on TogiNet to discuss fun, fascinating, and educational topics. Each week, Louise will be talking with a variety of guests ranging from authors, educators, parents, filmmakers, athletes, and entrepreneurs, just to name a few. When it comes to learning, the sky is the limit. And so will the topics that are covered here on Learning and Laughter with Louise. Louise Sattler is a school psychologist who has worked within the fields of special education and bilingual education. She also owns a successful company, Signing Families, that creates DVDs and special workshops to teach sign language and instructional products for people of all ages and needs. With new DVDs coming out soon, check her website for more information at signingfamilies.com. From time to time, Louise will be joined by her daughter, Natasha Sattler, who will give a college-age perspective to the show. So pour that morning cup of coffee and join us here on TogiNet every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. You never know who will show up for Learning and Laughter with Louise on TogiNet.com. Let's chat it up with Bloom Talk with Barb Scala on TogiNet. Thursday afternoons at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. And find out how women are growing, blossoming, and blooming in their friendships and careers, health, and so much more. It's Bloom Talk with Barb Scala. Check out our website, bloomwithbarb.com. Whether you want to transplant your life or just do a little pruning, Bloom Talk will inspire you to cultivate the lifestyle you want to live. Join lifestyle coach and co-author of Sanity Savers, Barb Scala, each week on Bloom Talk and sprout your dreams. Grow your life.
I hear a lot from women. I want meaning in my life. I want a fulfilling life. I want to do something that's exciting. And I can control my life instead of my life controlling me. I can tell the world this is who I am and this is what I'm all about.
Barb will introduce you to dynamic guests and real women who are redesigning, rebuilding, and reinventing their own lives. And Bloomstorm how you can dream, create, and grow the lifestyle you want to live. It's Bloom Talk with Barb Scala. Thursday afternoons at 3 Eastern, 2 Central on TogiNet.com.
Put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Beck.
Courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
Hey, military moms, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Tina Gonzalez.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're having a lot of fun today. We're talking about travel and travel with kids, something that as military families we do quite a bit, not only to see our families personally, but also, you know, through active deployment, through transfer from base to base. And, excuse me, sorry, I have a little bit of a cold today. We have a wonderful guest today. She is the owner, founder, creator, general guru of a really neat product line called, there's Forms for Travel, which is one. Formsfortravel.com is a place that you guys should go and check out because it's got a lot of really helpful information and forms you can download. And then also you can see her TravelStix line, which is my personal favorite and why we brought Linda on the show today, because they're really helpful little devices that I think can make a big difference in traveling with kids. And also I want to note traveling, you know, with parents or traveling all together. I know at times I will take my, you know, 2 kids, age 3 and 6, and I'll take my parents, ages, 75 and 70 respectively. And, you know, that's a handful. That's a lot of meds. That's a lot of prescriptions. That's a lot of responsibility when you're traveling with them. And I've taken them to Hawaii. We've been, you know, all over the country together. And it's a lot. You know, the one thing, Linda, that I love about your product, and you say it in your marketing, is the peace of mind. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to need when I'm traveling, but knowing that they're all located in one place where I can quickly access it and get what I need it's really empowering when you're traveling. And I would think, you know, you talked about there's products, you know, that you've made for grandparents traveling with their grandchildren. I would think that has to make them feel pretty good too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, peace of mind is, I think, the goal that most of us have whenever we're trying to create anything, especially something for families. And obviously the idea, you know, grandparents are probably one of the strongest demographics in terms of who is buying the forms on Forms for Travel. And it's just, everybody knows it's Forms, the number 4, travel.com. And they're also some of the most, they're some of the first users and buyers of the TravelStix, which can also be found on the Forms for Travel site, which is really fascinating to me because, you know, I'm old enough to, you know, have the impression that grandparents are in their 70s and 80s only, but today's grandparents, average age is 53. And it's a very dynamic demographic of people who have grandchildren and want to travel with them. And in fact, a lot of the grandparents will send me emails and tell me how much peace of mind they now have because they're taking off on a trip with their grandchildren without the parents, and they know that they have a medical consent in hand, which has not just the basic information, which all of our forms have, with respect to the child's blood type, current medication, allergies to medicine, allergies to food, and basic things like that. But the medical consent forms that we have has fields for all of the children's doctors. So the pediatrician, name, phone number, dentist, name, phone number, a specialist that they might have for something, name, phone number, as well as conditions and sensitivities, which is applicable whether a child, has, an actual diagnosable learning disability or some other functional issue, or a child just, is prone to motion sickness. That's something that you'd want someone to know as a parent so that they can have a really pleasant and fun trip instead of a miserable one. So you're right. I mean, I think that the powerful demographic and focus that grandparents have, who have the time and the money to travel with their grandchildren, and who also wind up, being the caretakers of children when parents need to take a break.
Absolutely. I mean, my parents, I rely on them heavily when they're in town, to pick up my son from school, to, I have only so much child care that I can afford, during the day. So, I don't have 24-hour child care. And, there's times when I'm sick, when I'm not feeling well, or, when I kind of have to split into three people because one has to go to soccer, one has to go here. It's really difficult. And, I know, like, with my mom and dad, they're always nervous. And then we have a little girl that comes, my girlfriend's daughter comes and stays with us every Wednesday. And she's given me a medical power of attorney for her daughter, and it's, of course, written on like a back of a grocery list. But, when you're responsible for even your own family's children, my nieces and nephews or my friends' kids, it does cross your mind, especially if you know that they have health issues.
Right. And the truth is, a health issue can show up at any point in time. Like all of a sudden they have a strange rash, and you don't know, do they always get that rash? Do they even realize that they've gotten it before? They don't remember. That's my own kids. Like, how long have you had that rash? And they don't even know because they're not conscious of it. So if I was taking care of someone's kids for, even if it was an afternoon, if it was an actual day, I would want to have this in hand. I mean, you never know. And so the idea of having something, as portable and accessible as the TravelStix, where I could actually, easily hand it off to someone if, for instance, they were kind enough to take my kids for a Saturday and give me a break. I could just hand it to them, and they're covered. They have everything they need. For instance, just as an example, because we have over 25 different versions of the TravelStix with different packages, and I thought it might be helpful to talk about one of them, which is really relevant for parents, and that's the Traveling Parent TravelStix. And on it, you get three forms. One is the medical decisions authorization that we've been talking about, which is so useful to have in hand. And the other, one of the other documents is a school camp decisions and custodial care authorization. So, for instance, your child, whether it's during the school year or during the summer when they're in camp, you have an authorization you can fill out and identify for the school or the camp who is allowed to pick them up, take care of them, no matter if you're not available. And this way, you're covered, the school or camp is covered, that you have something clearly, concisely written out, signed, notarized, that provides them with the coverage that they need and understanding your desires in terms of who's going to take your kid home. And the last document that we have embedded on the TravelStix for traveling parents is the international travel with one parent authorization, which a lot of parents don't realize. And my guess is that military moms are a little more savvy than most. But if you're traveling out of the country without the other parent of your children, you actually should have in hand, ready to show when asked by the airline or someone else at airport security, an authorization signed by the non-traveling parent saying you're allowed to travel with your children out of the country without them.
By law?
Yeah, it's actually
law?
It's a directive from the State Department, and in fact, I'm sure everyone's heard about the case I'm thinking it was, right around November, December, the little boy who wound up in Brazil, and there was this tortured, attempt by his father to get him back. The mother had died, but she took him to Brazil years prior and wouldn't come back and divorced the father, and the father then went through a protracted legal battle to actually get the child back. Well, that really heightened a lot of people's concern about the fact that when a parent leaves the country, this is how a lot of kids are taken by parents who decide for whatever reason they no longer want to either live in the U.S. or they just don't want to be married to whoever they were married to, and they're taking the kids and making it that much more difficult to get them. So the State Department has a policy and directive where parents should have assigned authorization by the non-traveling parent when they're leaving the country, because they want to make sure that while we have the Hague Convention in effect, and many countries are party to it, and the Hague Convention, just in shorthand, provides for a central registry and authority in every country, so that if, for instance, your child is taken by the other parent to another country and you didn't authorize that, or you want them to come back and they're refusing to bring the child back, you have a method in which to notify that country that your child's been taken without authorization and try to get them back. Well, one way to prevent that from happening, and I would like to see much more stronger application of this requirement at every airport, and not just internationally, but even in the U.S., travel within the U.S., to make sure that every airline asks for this. So right now, I know people who are lawyers who've gotten stopped and they can't get on the plane. I've been interviewed by a lot of reporters from different newspapers, the New York Times and others, who said, that actually happened to me. I was about to get on a plane going to Canada or, London or wherever, and I couldn't get on the plane because my husband didn't sign something saying I could leave with our children without him.
Now, is that applied to state travel, though? Because I think I'm thinking about my divorce decree, and I think there's something in there that if I take my children over state lines, I have to have authorization from the spouse or the legal father or something like that. I think, does it apply to states too?
Well, the directive I'm talking about applies to international travel, but you're right. Parents who have have a divorce, or either pending or finalized, in which there is a requirement that they have written authorization from the other parent, is one of the reasons why we also have on formsfortravel.com those forms available for people to buy, because people don't know, well, what should it say, and, how do I write it, and how do I sign it, and blah, blah, blah. This way, we've prepared it so you don't have to worry about it. And if you do have a requirement like that, or maybe you just want to make sure that you limit the parameters of travel. And on all of our travel documents where children are traveling with someone, whether it's another parent or relative, teacher, coach, it specifically has a section that the person who is traveling with the child acknowledges where the child's going to travel to, the date of the travel, and the fact that they're bound by the obligation identified in the form that they can't take them anywhere else. So it's a way to sort of lock that in. So there's an acknowledgement that the person who's actually traveling signs as well.
This information is so valuable, Linda. I hate to cut you off, but we need to go to a station break and listen to some commercials, and then we will be back talking in our final segment about traveling with children and some opportunities we have to make it a little easier on us.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system, keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Combine snide and remark, and you've got snark. Combine Lisa Mena and Valia Alvarez on Monday nights, and you've got deep dish snark. Monday nights at 9, 8 Central, part of the Her Insight Network. When you've had enough at work or at home, and you're ready to laugh, join Lisa and Valia for their no BS look at the world and the people in it. They'll be serving up a no-holds-barred take on pop culture, current events, entertainment, and family matters, with segments like Accidentally Helpful, TV is Now My Hobby, and Who Sucks This Week. Deep Dish Snark delivers something for every girl who enjoys life with a dash of sarcasm. Lisa Manna is a former TV news anchor turned stay-at-home mom. She's making sure if anyone screws up her kids, it's her. Valia Alvarez suffers life as a jack of all trades, mistress of none, by juggling a PR career, marriage, motherhood, and more. Don't miss Deep Dish Snark with Lisa Manna and Valia Alvarez, Monday nights at 9, 8 Central, part of the Her Insight Network, on TogiNet.com. Get ready for the Not So Soccer Mom, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central, on TogiNet with Jill Hickey. You name it, from politics to pop culture to Jill's search for the perfect bronzer and chicken salad. The Not So Soccer Mom will weigh in on it all. The sentence, "I have no opinion about that," is one that Jill has never uttered. In the early 90s, Jill finally decided to put her thoughts, opinions, mom advice, love of pop culture, hummus, and Starbucks, working out, cosmetic shopping, and politics into an actual website, and thus NotSoSoccerMom.com was born. Shortly after her fourth child, a boy, Jerome, now she's really got tons of topics to share with you. This is Laugh Out Loud Funny, and we're not kidding. What's a loud Nebraska girl who lived in Little Rock for many years and now is up in the Northeast doing? Chronicling her opinions on everything. The wheels aren't off yet, but it's close. It's the Not So Soccer Mom with Jill Hickey, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central, on TogiNet.com.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back.
Hi, Military Talk Moms. We're here. I'm Tina Gonzalez, here with Sandra, and we are on with Linda today, who is she's the maker of TravelStix. Linda, would you like to fill us in?
Sure. Well, we've talked a lot about the TravelStix for kids and parents in terms of traveling. And I remember the two of you talking about, dogs and pet care and things like that. So I'm sure there are plenty of, fantastic military families that have pets and want to make sure that when they travel or for whatever reason need someone else to take care of their pet, that they have something, well organized that has all the, rules. And we have something called the pet rules, and we have different versions depending on what kind of loving little creature you have in your life, whether it's a dog, cat, bird, or even reptiles. And the rules are set up so that you can identify, for instance, where your dog walks, what kind of food it eats, where you buy your pet food, what kind of toys it likes. Provide a structure for it so that that's, the same structure that it would have if you were home. And this way, the dog, cat, iguana, whoever you have in your life will make sure that, they have a really, tight schedule and they have the security that schedule provides. And in fact, I didn't mention earlier, but I developed something called family rules for children. And it's a similar type of thing. It's not so much where you buy the pet food for kids, because obviously they don't eat pet food. Although I think my daughter would try if she had the opportunity. But anyway, it's, the family rules provide for you to list the child's chores, bedtimes, TV shows, things that are appropriate, games on the computer appropriate, not appropriate, contact information for a nearby friend, so that if a grandparent's taking care of your children and just getting a little exhausted and would like to have another kid come over and entertain them, it provides them with the ability and the contact information to do that. So that's just one of the other little tidbits that we provide on our TravelStix for parents and grandparents. But back to the animal thing, it's really important to make sure that the vet who is going to care for your pet while you're away knows that the person taking care of them has the ability to sign off on medical care that they might need in your absence. So what we do is we have an authorization for medical decisions on the TravelStix, as well as I mentioned, the different rule forms, depending on if it's a dog, cat, or otherwise. And we also provide a free form, which is an EU 998 veteran certificate. And this, along with a number of other forms, are necessary if you're going to travel with your pet out of the country. And on the insert in our package, we also identify other important documents that you should obtain before you travel with your pet. But again, it has two different purposes. One is to hand off to someone to make sure they know everything about your pet that you do. And the other is if you're traveling with your pet, it's another way to organize all that information and documentation that you get from your vet when you're traveling.
Which is good. No, me, when I was going to be stationed in Hawaii, all of the paperwork that you have to have for your pet when you're about to leave to go to Hawaii is absolutely ridiculous. And that would have been perfect because all those documents could have been stored right there on that paperwork, right on our little travel stick. Because I had a big, huge book filled, and then our orders got pilled. But that's besides the point. That would work perfectly for especially going to Hawaii.
Right. And
well,
again,
that's how I ended up with my other dog, my fourth dog, Sally, the golden retriever. They were my friends got sent over to Okinawa, and they were given, I think, 30 days or something like that notice, and we couldn't get all the pet stuff together. And, and I remember Jackie coming over with this big binder of stuff, and then we're trying to learn about, like, Japanese law and all this stuff and everything that had to go with her. I mean, in the end, we decided to leave Sally with me here in the States while they're over in Okinawa. But, traveling with your pets can be really difficult.
Just as bad as your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's equal. It's like there's so many. It's probably actually even more difficult because, you can bring kids, I think, easier into other countries than you can bring pets.
Yep, I think that's true.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Now, Linda, let's talk for a few minutes. We've got just a few minutes left in today's show. I want to talk about how you balance work because you are an attorney. You do have your own product line. You do have a lot of family obligations. You've got 2 children, is that correct?
I do.
And how old are your kids?
My daughter's 10 and my son is 12. So I'm in the preteen phase, which is kind of the calm before the storm. Now that we haven't had a few storms already. But, it's funny. The whole concept of balance is it really kind of eludes me, and it's something that I think that I just, and I'm sure every mom out there just tries to find a way to do every day. So there's not like a particular formula that I have for myself. I really just try to touch all the bases every day. And some days it's, much more intensive in terms of working on the TravelStix and reaching out and, getting it into retail stores and making great connections with people who care about the product and maybe have an organization that deals with children or pets or, athletes and really wants to, bring the product in and solve a problem that they otherwise, have. So, for me, it's just about, trying to find a little time for everybody. And I guess the only person that I think I fall pretty short on is finding a little time for myself. But that's okay because all of this is wonderful stuff, and I really love doing it.
Well, and you're making a difference. I mean, that's the one thing that I love about, I know this is Military Mom Talk Radio, and it's very rare that we bring on a product, that we will feature and talk to the owner about. But this is something, and I know the key, as a single mom with 2 kids and a company owner, and, I have so much going on at every different point in my life. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not losing my keys, losing my phone. I have a job board up. I have, my day planner. Everything is going so fast, and I have so much responsibility from just running my company to being the Boy Scout leader to getting my kids to where they need to go. And it's true. It's like as moms, we are the last one to be taken care of. But, anybody that makes a product that can make my life easier and can get me organized, because I do think for the most part organization is key. Being able to find what you're looking for, to be able to, know it exists even, is so valuable. And to have you on today for that purpose of telling us about overseas travel, there's a lot of us that don't know these things.
Yeah, well, for me, it's really a product that came out of the love for my kids. So to the extent it helps other people, I'm thrilled that it can do that. And that's really my goal. I mean, my kids have one in their backpacks and their little wallets so that, when they go to school every day, and they go to 2 separate schools, I know that, I've let little peace of mind that if for some reason something happens to them, they have something and someone can help them. And, that's what we want. We want to make sure that people can help our kids and people can help us if we're incapacitated for one reason or another. So if it helps them, that way, I think it's really, it's great to be able to make that small contribution.
Well, and it's important because, if we all go through our daily lives and we don't contribute, to the social good or the greater good, we're all struggling with the same problems. I mean, Tina and I were talking about traveling with kids, and I remember at one point when my mom was really sick and I was trying to get home to New York, and I was stuck in JFK, and it was in December. Everybody's traveling, and there's snow everywhere. I'm trying to get to Buffalo, and at one point, I kid you not, I tied both of my kids to the stroller. I had these little backpacks, and I leashed them because, it was like Sophie's Choice. I had, the bags, I had all the stuff, and people are mowing over my kids right and left because, the guys, talking about the busy executives with the briefcases that just plow little kids down right and left because they're trying to catch their plane, and they never look down. It's so hard. It's, and I don't think people understand the whole nature of traveling with kids and how it changes with the ages. When my son was an infant, I could just strap him on my chest and, off we go, even though he was heavy and, it was hot and heavy work to carry him. I had at one point my little guy on my front and then my toddler on my back, and I'm pulling my rolly suitcase, that's filled with diapers and toys, and, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And then I think, and I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the worst kid to travel with is a cranky toddler.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, at least an older kid, you can buy something for him, you can tell him to shut up, but, and a baby, you can nurse them on takeoff, or I used to starve my kids before a long flight, to make sure if I'm flying from L.A. to New York, which is, 6.5 hours, I wouldn't feed them that morning. And they, have a good cry in the car on the way to the airport, and then on takeoff, I would feed them, and they would sleep through the flight, but there's nothing you can do with an angry, ornery little toddler.
Nope. They're on their own schedule.
They're on their own, so we just slap TravelStix to their forehead and go, "You're on your own, kids. I'll see you when we land."
I can stick it in the diaper. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Linda, we're really close to the end of the show. We've only got a couple minutes here, but can you quickly tell me what is the most valuable piece of advice you can give to our listeners today?
I think the most valuable piece of information I can give you is make sure you have everything that you would want to have in an emergency situation organized and scanned and onto that TravelStix, which is in your wallet. This way, when you're taking off, you don't have to worry about whether or not, you have a file with you or someone will know how to find something while you're away. Really want to make sure that you're going to have some peace of mind. Just make sure that if you're with your kids or if someone else is with their kids, make sure they have a travel consent form, a medical consent form, a set of family rules outlining what they can and can't do, and make sure that you have copies of their prescriptions and everything else that is really relevant in an emergency medical situation.
That is so outstanding. I hate to cut you off. We're at the end of our show. We had Linda Kagan here. Check out her products at formsfortravel.com. Spell out the letter form. Look for TravelStix, TravelStix. Go to Google. Check her out. Her product is fantastic. We will catch you guys again next week.